first is get you guys to say your names on camera and your date of birth, but I suppose you could put in your year if you want. And it's more for just records. You want to start in, Jean?
Okay. You want my full name?
Yeah, sure.
Jean Heffernan. And my birthday is March 13th, 1937.
And were you born in the Goulds or Petty Harbour?
Petty Harbour.
St. John's? You're born in Petty Harbour. And Aunt Regina?
Yeah, it's Regina Keiley, known as Patricia in religious life. Born May the 11th, 1929 in Petty Harbour also.
Most people know me by Mina, but my full name is Philomena Mary.
Rose.
Philomena Mary Rose Lee. How's that?
Rose Lee.
Yeah. You didn't know that.
No, I never knew that. It's all good stuff tonight.
Yeah. So my birthday is August 15th, 1939.
And I wanted to talk a little bit about, were you born in Petty Harbour too? You guys moved to the Goulds at some point in between.
So
Yeah, I was 9 months old when we moved to the Gould.
Do you you don't remember anything about Petty Harbour? Do you remember anything about living in Petty Harbour? You must have been
Yeah.
5 or 6.
Oh yeah,
right?
no, I moved in here when I was 10.
When you were 10.
Yeah.
And where did you live in Petty Harbour? Like what part, on the south side? The north
And
side?
we were on the north side.
On the north side.
On the north side, yeah.
And
Mostly known as the Catholic side.
the Catholics, of course. Were you like up in Crivies, up that way?
Up above that.
Up above there?
Yeah.
Up by the ball field.
Oh no, not that far.
Not that far.
Right opposite the church, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Oh, very
House
good.
is gone.
Yeah.
The house is gone now?
Only went there last year.
Oh, really? Didn't see him. Do you guys remember your grandfather, Keiley?
Yes, very much.
How he lived old, did he?
I think, I'm not sure, but I think it was 93 or 94. He was up there, yeah.
And was the mom, what were they called? Were they mom and dad Keiley to you guys?
No, grandfather
The grandfather?
Yeah.
and grandmother.
And very formal. And do you remember them too? I was younger, grandfather.
Oh, yeah. Grandmother Keiley died when she was 72,
Oh, so he lived a long time.
a long time after. I think 72, was
I
it?
don't know how old she was.
Yeah,
really don't know.
about that anyway, 72, 73.
Yeah.
And they, do you remember they owned a cod liver plant or they owned a fish plant?
Yeah. Answer her.
Do you remember?
I don't remember
We don't
that.
remember them having it, but
No.
we know they had it.
But I can't say I remember them having that at all.
No, not at all.
No.
And what was she like at all? Do you remember her at all?
Not grandmother Keiley. I
No.
just remember grandfather Keiley just coming up to the house. He would come in like, I don't know, probably a couple of times a month or something like that. And he used to make a bit of a fuss over us, especially myself and Junior, because we seemed to be the youngest, I think, at the time. And yeah, I don't know about favourites, but I do remember that about him. But that's very little. I know he's a big man.
Big man?
Yeah, he was a
Tall
big man.
or
yeah.
tall
And-
man?
No, he wasn't fat. He was just big built.
Big mustache, yeah.
Very much like your dad.
like my dad?
Yeah,
Yeah, very much.
yeah.
Very much.
But much taller
Yeah,
and
yeah.
much bigger. But features.
But he and grandmother, they were very kind. I remember them very well.
Do you remember them well?
Oh yeah, because I mean I was 10 when I came in here, so they lived in part of our house, and we lived in part of their house. They just had to go through the hallway, and we were in there, and we were always so welcome, and she always gave us something. We loved going over there to her part of
So
the
they like
house.
shared a duplex almost.
Yeah, no, and they were really nice. Both of them were very, very nice. I'll always remember that.
And what
Yeah.
about the Brennecks? Do you remember them at all? Or do you-
Not John. He was dead before you were born, wasn't
Yeah, I don't remember
Yeah.
him at all. I don't remember.
he? Yeah,
him
I
at all.
think he died. I often remember Mom saying he wanted to stay alive. He died with cancer of his face.
Of his face?
Yeah.
Oh, jaw. Didn't both of them die
Yes.
She did also. Yeah,
Same
she
thing,
did.
but
yeah, yeah.
many years later.
of a
It's
coincidence?
really a coincidence, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, but he wanted to live to see his first grandchild,
And who was that?
and that was Regina.
Oh,
But he didn't make it.
oh, he didn't. He tried.
No. I think he died in January, and she was born in May.
Oh, very good. And but the Keileys, the like
That's grandfather Brennick. I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, but the Brennick's family, first of all, there was only Ethel, really, right? I mean, there was other sisters.
Yeah.
They never married, or
Well, Lucy was in the convent.
Right.
Madge was married in the States.
Yeah.
Madge.
Madge.
Yeah.
Never heard who. Okay.
Kitty died young. Catherine, she died young. That's how many.
That's
And then it was Aunt Jean.
Yeah.
She lived to be 64.
She lived with you, didn't
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
All
yeah.
while we were children.
Was she the one in the wheelchair?
Yes.
Do you know why?
No. There's been 100 diagnoses put on her, but I don't know. It's gone from polio to MS to.
Yeah.
But back in those days, they couldn't identify it.
And you don't know what it was. Kitty like a young child when she died.
No. Kitty was 40 something.
Oh, okay. But she hadn't married or anything.
No.
So Kitty, you know, Jean. Oh, and there was one boy, but he was
Yes.
adopted.
He was
We had an
Jack-
adopted
Jack,
uncle.
he was adopted.
And he died very young. He died at 26, I think.
Oh, really?
Was he so young?
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, he had 3 children, and they're coming in here next week for a visit. His wife is still alive.
That's interesting. He had 3 children, and so they're.
Maybe he was more than 26, but he was very young. What do you think he was? I don't know where I got
think he
that
was
figure in
older
my
than
head.
That,
Do you think?
26.
But he was a very young
More
man.
like 36.
Maybe 30.
Still pretty young.
Yeah, still pretty young. I mean, I remember they lived opposite the school up here, and I used to have to go up and look after those children. And the guy who's coming in now on Tuesday, I think, he's Adrian, huh? And he was just a baby. I used to look after him. And his little sister, Shirley, was about 4. So I remember them looking
They
after
were very
them.
young. The
And
3
Yeah.
children were.
When
so this
he
is why
died,
He
they
could
were-
have been 26.
Yeah. But he was, I don't know if he was that young.
Yeah.
So they would be like they're like your step cousins or adopted cousins.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
would be that
yeah,
too.
yeah.
So and Dad Keiley had only 2 sisters.
2 sisters.
2 sisters
And
and no
who was
brothers,
that?
yeah.
No brothers again.
He had
He
a brother
had,
who
didn't he?
died
Yes.
as a baby,
Yeah.
Really?
Right, yeah.
Joseph.
yeah.
Okay. And what were the 2 sisters? Was
Gertrude?
Kurt, and
Maybe
Mamie
now.
Nell.
Mamie Nell?
what was
She
her
lived in
proper name?
Chapel Arm.
Chapel Arm.
Yeah, yeah.
Mamie's short for Mary. isn't it?
Mary,
I always call her Mamie.
Mary
We
Ellen.
all did.
Mary
Mary
Ellen.
Ellen.
That's what it is.
An
Mamie
interesting
Nell
story
is what we
about
call
her.
her, but that's what it is. Mary Ellen.
I heard she was had adopted children that married each other. Or
That's
something?
great, yes, that's right.
What's
Very
that?
interesting.
Yeah, she had adopted children, and a boy and a girl, and they married each other.
Who?
Mamie Nell.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry.
It's just unusual. It's not
Yeah, it is,
Yeah.
it is.
They were like adopted in that, the mother died in the
Yeah.
community
Yeah.
or
they went to live with them.
that kind of a thing, yeah.
Well, that happened a
Yeah.
lot. I mean,
Yeah,
you know.
Sure.
That's it. Her sister had she.
Yeah,
That kind of stuff.
that's right.
Lots of. And what was Mom Keiley like? I mean, when you were a little kid, was she strict or was she foolish? Or I can't imagine her being foolish.
She did have a good sense of humor.
Really?
I tell you that, yeah, she did. And we were very fond of her. And she used to always push us away from her, get away. Because we wanted to sit on her lap and all this type of thing, right? And I always remember, especially about Mom, she had a really good friend, Nell was. And when Nell didn't come into the house, she would always, lose us, right? Because this is where the fun, they really enjoyed each other's company. And, there was a lot of just...
Nell spoke sometimes
Yeah.
inappropriately in front
Yeah.
of children.
So it wasn't a good.
Yeah, I remember that about her when we were really young. But she was very kind. She kept us in line. Now, she was kind, but she kept us in line,
She
more or
was.
less.
And she was she running? This was you guys were living in the hotel then, or?
Yeah.
And was she running? Well, first of all, how did they get the hotel? Like, did they?
It was Granny's before. It was her mother's before.
Okay, so
And
it's been around for
For
years.
a long time, and I don't know who had it before Granny. This is called her Granny. I don't know who had it before her. And then when Mom married, she went to Petty Harbour, huh? And then there was the Depression. I don't know if that had much to do with them moving in or not, but Granny couldn't cope. I think it was getting too busy. and she came in to help out. This is how.
And brought 7 kids.
And brought 7 kids along.
5 at the time, I think.
But we used to come to visit her. I can remember walking from Petty Harbour, myself and whoever I could pull behind me. We used to walk all the way from Petty Harbour, and we'd be outside that gate up there. Now, should we go in or should we not go in? You know, we were undecided, hey? And then we used to go in, and she would give us scones and buns and something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very nice.
And was the hotel like a hotel, or was it a bar, a restaurant, or like what?
Combination of all, actually.
It had everything.
Because they had weddings, they served sandwiches, suppers, just in the private suppers, private parties, and a bar.
It was like a pub in it.
And the jukebox. And people would be dancing outside there, and they had all the society people. Yeah.
And was it wasn't too rough to have 7 kids around near a pub? It wasn't a wild
No,
pub. Is it more of a country club kind of pub?
Yeah.
Yes, it was, and that's really what it was.
What it was.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
at that
Yeah.
time, we were a long ways from St. John's. I mean, we were country.
You felt like you were home.
Well, we were.
And would people
Yeah,
use
we
it
were.
for their honeymoons? Or-
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Big weddings, beautiful, and they had all this nice heavy silverware, and I can still see the white linen
Yeah.
serviettes and starched, you know, and white tablecloths. It was
Quite-
beautiful. It was really nice.
That's
Yeah,
And did you guys work in the hotel? I guess. Like
I did.
Yeah. No,
She
we
did,
were.
but we were too young.
you were
Yeah.
too young, and then it changed over
Yeah.
Yes, I was about 10 when it changed to the nursing home.
to a nursing home. But you were only 10. And then did you guys work in the nursing home?
Yes.
Like helping out?
I
Mine-
did. I
They
stayed there
stayed,
until I was
yeah.
married.
Really?
Yeah.
And just taking care of the residents
Yeah.
and Mom Kylie kept that up till how old was she?
65.
65, yeah.
She moved down here when she was 65.
Mark took over then.
I remember Aunt Mary having it.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I remember it really vaguely, and I remember going up there with Petra, like she'd be babysitting us for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But and you know, I remember a couple of the old residents, but I was probably 6 when they moved away. I don't remember them moving or anything.
Now,
Granny.
how old is Terry?
Terry is
Terry
a
was-
year younger than me.
Well, he was born right after they moved to town.
Oh, really? So I don't really remember that. Because he's only a year younger than me, then I don't even a year
You
old.
couldn't remember that.
Yeah.
No.
And I
Yeah.
can always remember Granny making, she had a separator, and she was always making homemade cream and homemade butter, hey? And that was so delicious, you know.
So did they have a farm attached to the hotel, like to service
Yeah.
the hotel?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of cows and
Cows, a couple of horses.
horses.
Couple of pigs.
and a couple of pigs. and-
A
Hens.
few hens, a rooster.
Yeah.
It was a little farm in itself, I guess, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but
Just to
Yeah.
supply
private
the
farm.
hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for the hotel. And it was now here's a was it lucrative? I mean, as a business, I mean, it changed over.
It had to be to raise 7 kids.
I suppose. Well, you guys went to private school, like Littledale, and did you board?
Yes,
I
the
did,
older
and
girls.
Agnes, I and Agnes, but I was only there a year and a
And
half.
Mark.
And Mark.
And Mark.
Yeah.
Mark
You-
too.
And Peter.
Peter went to
St.
boarding
St.
school.
Bon's.
Yeah.
And they board, like you board for the week and then come home for the weekend.
Yeah.
And how was that for you?
Well, I only had a year and a half, you know.
It wasn't too
So
bad or
I
too good.
managed to cope with it, huh? No, it was okay for a year and a half. But boarding school, no, it was okay.
It's okay.
It was okay for that year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad, I don't think enjoyed it, but I don't think he liked school. From
Period.
he didn't like school at all. No, and
And we had the teachers boarding with us also when we had that hotel. The school teachers from the Goulds.
oh, would you stay in the hotel?
All stayed there with us. Yeah.
That must have been weird.
Yes, yeah.
I don't think I'd like that.
Tales out of school.
They enjoyed
They
that.
did.
They
Yeah.
did.
They did.
They did enjoy it. And Mercedes Lee was one.
One of our teachers.
Yeah.
Go
She
in.
came in and she was only 18 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And I do remember her, and well, I don't have to tell you how kind, gentle
Oh, she's
person
lovely.
she is, right? But anyway, I remember her, and she met her husband
I
there.
remember John.
Yeah,
So crooked
That's where
compared
she
to
met
her.
her.
she'd always say to me, I think someone says he's 20 years older
Yes,
than.
I think so.
He could be
20
for
years
sure.
older
Yeah.
than her.
Yeah.
And anyway, when she went back to Salmon she said, she broke the news that she's going out with a guy 20 years older, right? So it didn't go over really, really big in Salmon. And so anyway, she had so much good to tell about him that she had him almost convinced. So anyway, she said, when you go back, she said, ask Granny Brennick what this man is like, right? And anyway, Granny Brennick, she'll always tell it. He said, oh, sure, he's one of our own.
So that was okay.
Yeah, so it's okay. So after that, they accepted.
No questions asked.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I don't really know what she meant, one of our own.
I
But
don't
she'd
know.
always tell that story, eh? Yeah.
Must have been pretty stressful. Did you? So you went. I'm going to get a little bit of story on each of you guys now. So I got the grandparents, the great grandparents. I think I've got them all my questions. I did want to ask about who their good friends were, and you did talk about Mum Keiley's friend Nell Walsh, was it? And she
Yeah.
was from the Goulds as well? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, so. And did Dad Keiley have a real good friend? I know, like in the older years,
Yeah.
like him and Martin Donovan, but that was more of a...
Andrew Hanover
yeah.
was-
Andrew
Andrew Hanover,
and,
yeah.
and Shevers. Mr.
Yeah,
Shevers.
yeah.
They would,
and Doug
yeah.
Muir.
Doug Muir,
Yeah.
up
Ash
Granville.
Graham.
Yeah.
They would all go hunting and
Yeah, they
fishing.
were
Yeah.
hunters.
Dad was big into hunting. Yeah.
We always had chum, a chum.
Yes.
Yeah.
A variety of
Yeah.
dogs
Yeah.
named chum.
Uh-huh.
But he,
Spot.
yeah, he was big into that, and he had his clique that went with him all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
over the
He
years.
was, now I don't know, it's hard to know from, from my generation to your generation, but Dad Keiley seemed really respected.
He was.
And I assume he was, like, he had some kind of aura about him of,
We knew it too, but I can't identify it.
No.
Yeah.
But what Dad Keiley said went, I mean, even as a
Yes.
small kid, right? It was like,
Yeah.
can we go skate? No.
Yeah.
Well, ask Dad Keiley. We
Yeah.
didn't ask Mom
Yeah.
or Dad
Yeah.
or Mom
Yeah.
Keiley, anybody. Only Dad Keiley could pronounce.
Yeah.
And it was
That
almost
it's
like
safe.
pronouncement of
Yeah.
whether it was safe or
Yeah.
if you were allowed to do something.
Yeah.
I think if my parents didn't want to decide, we were sent over to check with Dad Keiley.
Yeah.
And whatever it was,
Yeah.
if the storm was going to be too big to go around the pond or whatever. So was that always, like when you were kids, he had
Yes.
that kind of,
Yes.
Yeah.
And that went with the weather too.
that was the thing,
Yeah.
the weather, whether we're,
Yeah.
for where we're going to go to Trapassi and,
Yeah.
and say me and
Yeah.
Pete, even when we were 17, right? Mom said, well, check with Dad Keiley now. He'll know if it's going to get really
Yeah.
stormy.
Yeah.
No, Dad Keiley was a very quiet man. He's rarely said anything to us, but it's all he had to do was look at you.
That's right.
And if he looked, you knew where you stood.
Good or bad.
But he never punished us or anything,
No,
or he
never.
tossed her in, not even us. Never.
Never.
Never raised his voice.
No, no,
Who,
no.
who
Dad.
was most like him in the children? Like Ju-
Peter, probably.
Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't imagine Peter do much yelling at you guys.
No. It's too soft.
I remember
Dad.
about Dad.
Yeah.
This one particular day, we only used to get a quarter, like on a Sunday, and so anyway, everything, all the work was done. So I asked Mom, for the money, right? And she said, "Go in and ask Dad. Go in and ask your father." She said, and he was lying on the daybed in the dining room, right? And he had his eyes closed, right? So anyway, I said, "Dad, are you asleep?" He said, "Yes." That
Right
was
out.
it. That was it. I never got the quarter to this day. I just kept going. He was asleep and you didn't.
Disturbing.
No.
Big sleepers. The whole Brennick family was
Yeah.
always big sleepers.
Yeah.
I remember I got punished once by Dad. And it has to do with you, actually.
Your fault.
It's all your fault.
Oh my.
Aunt mine had left, and we couldn't take all of you guys to the airport and the kids. And Jimmy was more. It was only 4 of us, but we had to stay home. Me and Pete and Dad had to stay home, but Bill and Jill and the aircraft. I don't know how they fit them all in the car, but anyway, they got them all.
No
home.
seatbelts.
No seatbelts. 7 young children. And you gave us $1 for a quarter for each of us, to me and Pete. And me and Pete had cooked it up in our heads that this was an injustice that we couldn't go to the airport, so we took the $1 and went and spent it on lime crush, and pink cool, and chocolate bars. I mean, we spent the whole dollar. It was a lot of stuff up in Miriam. And when Mom came home, she made us go to our rooms, and Dad came to talk to us. But it was the only time my dad really, that was it. He was a little steep.
Yeah.
And we were punished for a lot. There was a lot of guilt. We got Tic Tacs, certs or something. We never had stuff we never had. But I remember it's the only time I ever got punished as a child by my father.
Yeah. This is not really this family, but I just want to tell you this. Laurie, I had given her $20 one day to go up, and the store was only from here, like Mary Lou's, no distance, right? And get a loaf of bread and get whatever you want for yourself. And it was her and her friend, right? And she got me a loaf of bread, all right. And she came, like, see her little arms now. And they were just full. She spent the whole $20.
Whatever you want for yourself.
They were, you know, I didn't mean it.
Get something for yourself.
Get whatever you want for yourself.
You'll care
She
careful
did.
with your words next time.
Yeah.
How did so you're the oldest, and then who's next?
Mark.
And Mark. And how did you decide to go? I'm going to ask each of you about all the brothers and sisters and everything, and how. I mean, how old were you when you went in the convent?
23. Just turned 23.
And was that like a snap decision?
No. Oh, no. I'd been thinking about that from the time I was about 12.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you do between when you were 12 and 23? Before you went in the convent, did you travel around? Or?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. I mean, I was in Toronto. I was working for 2.5 years in Toronto.
As a nurse, or?
No, I only did nursing after I entered. You
Okay.
know. I was a stenographer. I took shorthand and typing at Littledale, and I was doing that. It was very nice. It was lovely.
Did you like Toronto?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good. Good.
And then you decided to join the convent. And you joined a missionary order. Was that on purpose? Or was it an accident?
Huh?
Was it an accident that you ended up
no.
wanted to do
I always
missionary?
wanted to be a missionary. Always wanted, and I think I got it from this silly story now. But when I was in Littledale, this missionary came home, and he stood on the stage in Littledale, and he was telling us all about mission work and how the people live out in the Philippines and all this kind of thing, eh? And so he said, it was very, very poor out there. He said, he said, when we have food, it is just full of worms, he said. And when I went out there first, he said, it was terrible. I used to pick out all those worms before I could eat my food. Now, he said, I'm so long there now. Now, he said, I pick out the food and eat the worms. Huh?
And you thought that was romantic.
I thought that was so funny. I'll never forget that. And no, but the Philippines, I said, there's where I would like to go now, to the Philippines, because they had lepers and things. And I said, I'll go to the Philippines. But many things happened in between, and I didn't actually, I didn't make a snap decision. It was on and off for a long time, hey? Writing letters and telling Mom and Dad I'm going, and then tearing them up and all kinds of things like that, But then eventually, long time afterwards, when I was in Toronto, I was home for Christmas, then I went back, and then I said, now, I've got to go. I've got to make up my mind, you see. So I wrote a letter to another congregation, because I didn't know these sisters, and I wrote to another congregation and asked them, do they know of any missionaries going out to the Philippines or somewhere? So those Carmelites, they sent my letter to this congregation. I always say that's providential, because it was directed just like that. They sent it to this congregation, and then they contacted me.
Oh, very good.
So
And how long before you went to South Africa?
a year and a half.
So you kind of did your nursing.
No, I did my nursing in Africa.
Oh,
I
really?
just had formation here for about a year and a half. Here in Toronto, I was for about half a year, and then I went to Shillington's in the States for a year, and straight after that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You should tell them about when you were going to school in this letter.
Oh, I don't want to tell that.
Yes.
Oh,
sure.
tell us.
Go
It's going to
for
get
it.
lost.
Go
You
for
don't
it.
want the history. I won't show anybody the tape. To long from
Well,
now.
it's well, I mean, like I say, I had this in my mind from the time I was 12, and actually deep down, I didn't want to go, hey? Deep down, but I couldn't get it off my back kind of thing. It just worried me all the time, and I felt I've got this calling, but I was always looking for an excuse not to go, And so when I was about 12, going to the school in the Goulds here, and Lee's, is it? Lee's had a post office up here opposite where Mary and Muir used to live. And I would rush home from, and so I wrote to the Sacred Heart Sisters in Halifax, and I went every day waiting to hear from them to say, well, I know a congregation you can enter. I was about 12. Come home, rush home from school every day, rushing to this post office to get my letter from them, because I didn't want anybody else to see this letter. This was big secret. And one day I came home, this was going on for a long time. Eventually, one day I get home from school, Mom says, there's a letter there for you from the Sacred Heart Sisters. And I said, a letter from me from the Sacred Heart Sisters? How did that get hold of my name? I said, I said, when a nun finds out about you, they never get off your back. And I went a big long story like this. And I took the letter and I ripped it up into pieces. I didn't even read it, and I was waiting for that letter so much. I have no idea what was on that letter. and I was saying, oh, there goes my letter.
Oh.
And then I was very, very young,
Yeah,
And every time I wanted to go, I said, any excuse where I don't have to go, any excuse where I don't have to go, And
It's a hard decision to make.
yeah, and then eventually I said, no, now I will go, but I don't think I will be staying. Told my friends in Toronto, I said, I don't think I'll be staying. And I gave some of them, you hold this, I'll be back. You hold this, I'll be back. I'm not staying. And I gave them things to keep for me, because I said, but I've got to get this off my back kind of thing, always going on in your mind, And so, anyway, I went in, and to my amazement, I always say amazing grace, I survived it.
You survived it. You banded right through it.
Yeah, no, I never. The first year wasn't easy. The first year I was coming and going all the time. The first year it was very, but after that I never looked back.
You knew it was the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you join the convent and leave or something? You don't want to talk about
I
that?
will. I went in the same order as she did, but I only lasted for 6 months.
Really? Just too hard.
I knew the first day I went in, I thought, what have I done now? But anyway, I stayed there for 6 months.
Yeah.
But it wasn't for me.
No. What about Mark and Agnes? They weren't. There's no
They
religious
weren't
calling in
they
them.
weren't so inclined. No.
And you?
No,
No.
no.
It's not for everybody. Everybody can't be nuns. Everybody can't
No,
be
my
priests. That's
goodness.
how it is.
Sure, then who would they help?
Yeah, yeah.
So what you did nursing? I
I
know
did
you went to
nursing.
school nursing with my mum,
Yes,
and at St. Clair's.
at St. Clair's. Yeah,
That work out.
it worked out.
And what about Marg and Agnes and you? What did you three guys go in for?
Well, Mark worked at a bank, right?
Yeah.
Agnes,
Agnes got married at
yeah,
18.
yeah.
18.
Very young, yeah.
And she was kind of
She was the first
a
one married.
homemaker, I guess you'd call her, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was, I could say she got married at 18, and then, she started
Well, they had the dog.
with her family,
Yeah.
yeah.
And for myself, well, I stayed with Mom and the nursing home until I got married, and then I went to Labrador City, and we stayed down there for 30 years. And
And Marg took over the.
Mark took
Nursing
over the
home.
business, yes.
Yeah.
And how long did she stay there? Well, from the time she got married, I guess.
Mark, the nursing home?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Mom ran the nursing home.
Yeah, but Mark ran it.
She took over.
Yeah, but not
Yeah.
for very long.
Not for
No,
very
no,
long?
no.
No, not for very long at
A
all.
couple of years.
3, 4, maybe,
Really?
tops. Yeah.
Only that amount. Very good.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very so good. We're running out of tape.
Um,
And I've got pretty much.
What you want?
The other questions were what was Marg and Junior and more of the four that aren't here. But what were they like as children? Because I won't want
Well-
you to tell on each other, but I'd love you to tell on Marg and Agnes and Dad and Junior.
Junior doesn't like to be called Junior. He likes to be
No,
called
he does, I
Larry.
know.
But
I
anyway,
always get in trouble. For that.
Yeah.
he was a model child.
Oh, look.
He was.
Well, he was
I
very
have
good.
He
stories.
was-
I have stories
You
to
tell
tell you
us
then.
one.
Yeah, he was a model child. Yeah.
He'd love to hear you.
Dare one? No, it's true.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Did he go in the brothers or priests?
No.
No.
No, he wasn't that model.
He wasn't that good. But he
Good,
was.
but he's not that good.
He never got in any trouble or, you know.
His marks were good.
Hmm?
His marks were good.
Oh yeah, in school, yes. He was just an all-round good kid.
Yeah.
And what about Mark?
Can't say the same for
No,
Mary.
she was wild. And
Yeah. I don't remember, Marg when she was young.
No, but Mary was, no, I don't remember her young either, but I think she did her own thing, didn't she?
as a teenager, she was on the go. I think.
Yeah,
A going concern,
growing concern.
popular.
Agnes was relatively quiet. Like I say, went out with Kevin 3 or 4 years probably. And then she was still a student at Littledale when she started going out with him, didn't she?
I don't know when she started going out
Yeah.
with him. I only remember the night.
And then they got married when she was just 18.
And that went over okay? That seems a bit young. No, it didn't go over so good.
No.
Dad was shocked. You know?
Really?
But I can remember him saying and Mom saying, they will elope if we don't let her.
Oh, really?
You know. And she came home one night, the night they were engaged, and she came into my room. I can still remember. I was in bed, and she said, and she pointed out. She said, "Here, look, I'm engaged now." I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. I said, "What?" But I remember Mom and Dad. No, they didn't want it at all. You know, they
Very young.
very young. And I remember Dad saying, "They will elope if we don't let her."
Yeah.
You know.
So
And
they
that
better.
they didn't want to know about this elopement.
And the religion was a big issue.
Yeah.
Oh, was
those
his?
days.
Was
He
he?
wasn't
Anglican?
Catholic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Back then, it was a big
Back
issue.
then it was a very big issue.
But
yeah.
he was the same age as her. Like he wasn't particularly
No,
young.
he might have been a couple of years. No,
Yeah.
age-wise, they were both very young. Like,
Yeah.
It could have been 2 or 3 years.
She was 37 when he died, and he was 42.
Yeah, so it's not a
5
lot.
years,
Yeah,
yeah.
5 years.
Yeah.
Not a huge difference.
No.
No.
And what about Marg and Gordon? Like, did they go out as young teenagers and then
No, not as teenagers. No.
she met him kind of older?
Marg,
Mark was about 25, 26 when
Yeah.
she got married.
yeah, she went out with another guy for a
Max
long,
White.
long
A number,
time.
yes,
What was his
one
name?
Max White.
Yeah.
Max White.
for
Yeah.
8 years, I think.
Yeah, it was a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And what happened?
They
Just-
were engaged and everything to be married.
Religious
And,
issues
Again?
again. Yes.
yeah.
Anybody else have religious issues?
No,
No.
Religion.
that's the
Religion
thing
was a
of
big
past.
issue back then, let me
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah,
Big.
Back then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they split up more or less because of religious issues.
Not
Well, I
wouldn't
wouldn't,
know
maybe
most
not
of that.
100% a religious issue, but it didn't help.
It didn't happen.
Didn't help. Yeah.
And do you have any stories? How was Dad as a kid? I think he was a bit wild. I know when he died and we did the thing on the back of his. I don't know if you saw that.
I
image.
did.
And we got some lovely.
Yeah.
Jill knew how to get the stories out of people.
Oh,
I
I
would-
don't know if I saw that.
Oh,
I
we
think
did
it's something else.
We did a nice little story about his
One thing I do
good and bad
remember,
things.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
remember about Peter, you must remember that too. Got for his car, right? And anyway, we were
Was it
sleeping.
his? No, it wasn't.
Was it you?
It was his car,
It
yes.
was his car.
He
We
the
thought he
junk.
was in it, right? At the time.
Oh yeah.
And was it you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, it was on the back of the house. And when we looked out, I mean, my gosh, everybody started to move. And we were going to say, Peter's car's on fire and everything. And anyway, we all went out and trying to get the car out. So the frogs pool, you wouldn't remember that, but that was just up a little bit. And then we had this little well, big well really, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And anyway, there was pots and pans and cups and saucers and even
No
strainers.
no fire brigade.
And I remember that strainer, because Dad was just pushing everybody, to get water and put up to the fire, right? And I went, I had a strainer. And I remember Dad, it just went. I don't know where. I was filling it up. I was panicking because I thought he was in the car,
Yeah,
right?
we thought he was in it.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
really did. We thought he was in the car,
No.
and but that I do remember about your dad.
They got in trouble for that, I think.
Yeah, I'd say. I'd say.
Yeah. Did he? I think in the story Jill got, and I think she might have got it from Junior. He was given $20 the next day and sent to Toronto.
Yeah,
or
he just
something.
gave him $20.
No, yeah, I
He
don't
went
think.
down there and he was afraid to come
Yeah,
home.
yeah,
Did you get the $20 in
Agnes
Toronto?
gave it to him.
No, yes, tell him to go away.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I don't think they
No, I don't
told
think,
him.
no.
He
no,
went down to Agnes
no.
and said he was going away.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
Did
gonna-
she
Yeah.
have any money? And Agnes
Oh,
gave him
shame.
$20. That's
Yeah.
all she had.
No, I'm sure she
Yeah.
It was a lot of money
But
back
he
then.
just thought, I can't go back.
I can't go
I
back.
just can't go back, right? But anyway, I want to tell you this little story about Junior.
Yes, please.
Larry.
Larry.
Yeah. He, but anyway, like Jean says, he was a model child. He was just perfect. But I didn't have too much going for me, honest. I really didn't, right? And I always remember my hair was really thin, white, really thin. And he had this bunch of curls, right? And every time anybody, which was a lot of people, came and went up to the house, right? And we'd be there playing because we were basically roughly the same age, right? And anyway, they would come in and they would look at this head of curls, right? Oh my God, look at the beautiful head of curls. And look at the eyelash, look at the length of the eyelashes, right? And I remember this so clear. And like I said, just like I was not even there. Conversation over. Everybody on their way, you know. So anyway, it just got the better of me. Then they kept on about the curls and the eyelashes. And I could only take so much. Enough is enough, right? So anyway, this night, it was probably around 7 or 8 o'clock, or 6 or 7 o'clock, right? And he was asleep on the day bed. And I remember something. And I went in, and curls falling. And with the eyelashes, couldn't handle them. I got the scissors and cut them all off. And Dad came in, and his eyes were like a little bit open because, you know, I mean, this is the first thing you noticed about him, right? And all the eyelashes were there, right? And so I just remember, and I remember, you know, when I got, but I didn't have them on, but anyway, you know, and I remember doing this, you know, to blow him away, right? And,
Did you not wake up?
No, he
And
never
you didn't
right?
even go after his curls.
Never got that far.
I never got that far.
So anyway, I remember Dad came in to lift him up and take him upstairs to bed, right? And he just nearly died. He couldn't believe that, you know, I was that close with scissors around his eyes, right?
Yes.
So that was one of my remembrance of my father and plus my brother, right?
Brother. Yeah,
To go down in history.
But anyway, you can understand why I did it.
Absolutely.
Yes, you're excused.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I had Pete, bullseyes, right? And he was always, everyone was Pete's eyes.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
commented on his
Yeah.
eyes.
But you had nice blue eyes too.
No, I
remember
had
you were
little green eyes and glasses.
Yeah.
Pete's eyes were
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
falling out of his
Yeah.
head.
So you can know you
Oh,
understand
I
exactly.
empathy.
Yeah.
I have lots of
Yeah.
empathy.
Yeah.
And then Jim Ray was
Yeah.
the cutest thing ever
Yeah.
existed.
Yeah.
So, no,
Well,
it's hard.
I was in that category. Like,
How far apart are you and Junior? Like a year,
about 18 months.
18 months. And then,
And he being younger than you didn't help matters either.
No, it was the tension that I couldn't.
Imagine. I
It
never
was
heard
rough.
that before. I'm glad I heard that now.
how did you meet this?
On blind date.
Really?
Yeah.
Who set you up?
A friend of mine, she used to go out with this guy from Placentia, and he had relations in Petty Harbour. So anyway, he had Gwen Williams. I don't know if you ever know. But anyway, she lived down in the pond. And Des' friend was Bill Thorne. And anyway, they wanted to know, would I go out with somebody, this guy, if they brought him in? I said, not before I had to look at him, right? So I certainly wasn't going like that, right? So anyway, I remember when we met up to Doyle's, this used to be the hangout place at that time.
That was on
you
the
know?
corner?
Yeah,
Hang on,
yeah.
hang on, hang on.
Remember stories from Peter.
Okay.
Peter. I said, you must remember.
Well, anyway, tell us about, you went to Doyle's
Oh, yeah.
on your blind date.
So anyway, sure enough, he arrived, and I had to look at him. I don't think he was too bad. Right? So anyway, went out that night, but you know, it's kind of hard when he lived in Placentia, and so he didn't get to see each other. So we kept in touch by mail, which was
Took a long time.
Snail mail.
snail mail, you know, no long distance calls or anything like that. But anyway, that went ahead for a while, and like I said, it was a bit of a rocky road, and you know, and it was to be.
Yeah.
We
that's
ended
right.
up back together, and we married and lived happy ever after.
And how did you meet Pat? Was that a blind date, or he's from the Gould?
Yeah.
I went to school with him.
I thought you went to all girls' schools. No, it was
No,
St.
no.
Kevin's was a mixed
I went to
school.
St. Kevin's. I never went to Littleton.
And was St. Kevin's a mixed school? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. Oh,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, Peter went there, and
And Pat.
Larry went there, and Pat
Yeah.
went there.
Oh yeah, I went up there.
No, I've known him all my life. Don't ask me, Margaret, how come
Well, if you knew him
I
all your
married him. I don't know.
It's top
I really
secret.
don't know. You know, I often think that these things are preordained or predestined or something. Because I've known him a lifetime, and we used to hang with a group like your Uncle Bill,
Oh, right.
Huey McGettigan, and all these, and Jack Roberts. Anyway, there used to be a bunch, and Pat was among them, and we were moving with this group. And I don't know.
Just married.
Just happened.
Meant to fall into place.
It was like, I don't know why.
Can you tell me a little bit about after you left here and you went like I told you a couple of weeks ago, I thought it was really exotic because you seem to be in like exotic places like Northwest Territories or Indian reserves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I left here. I went in 1976. I went up to Northwest Territory. And for 8 years, I worked on Indian reserves, both in the Northwest Territory and in northern Alberta and southern Alberta
just that was as a public health nurse.
as a public health nurse.
And why did you do that? It was just something to do, or good pay, or just need to
That's
travel?
another story. Why I left here,
Yeah.
I had a boyfriend who I couldn't get rid of. And he was at the doorstep all the time. And I thought, I can't handle it, So I said, I picked up the Canadian Nurse, and I thought, furthest place I can come up with, and that was the Northwest Territory. And I said, that's where I'm going. And that's where I went.
I won't make you commit to telling me who that
No.
is.
He's gone. He's dead.
Oh my God.
So you would be in a widow.
He was a nice fellow, but I
Wasn't for
She
you.
would have been
Not
a
for
widow.
you. Yeah. Imagine.
I would have been a widow a long
That's
time
right.
ago. He died young.
Yeah.
I must tell you a story about Mum and Dad. Going back, are we going back and backtracking?
Absolutely.
It was just that I was at this party once, and I came home, and Mum said to me, "What was it about? What did you do?" I said, and I started to tell her, and I'm known for speaking very quickly, hey? And I said it all, and then Mum looked at Dad and said, "What did she say?" Didn't understand a word. So Dad saw I was a little bit hurt about that. He could see that. He said, "Come, I'll show you something." So we went out on the back of the house, and he said, "You know how to fire a gun? These big, long guns that they had for shooting partridge." And I said, "No." He said, "You want to try?" He said, "No. Shoot at that barn," he said. But he said, "Be very careful, because if you don't hold it very firmly, it will kind of jackknife and hit you hard in the chest." So I'm aiming with this big long thing. He was trying to console me because he felt I was awfully hurt, because she said, what did she say? And he showed me how to aim. Well, I can remember pulling that trigger. Hey? Wow, I didn't hold it firm enough. Did it get me? I thought my sternum was broken for sure. Fortunately, it wasn't. But I can remember that. He was so comforting, hey, because of that.
He wanted his son then, obviously. Trying to get you to shoot a gun.
Yeah.
Well, Dad let me shoot a gun on New Year's Eve once when I was about 12.
Yeah.
And the same thing, almost, I thought my shoulder was broke. And I think my mother was going to kill him. I think he'd been into a few drinks. Probably shouldn't have been letting me play with it. It was only a rabbit gun, but it was still...
It could give you a
Maybe.
proper
Yeah.
injury, yeah.
How did Mum and Dad Keiley meet? Or, they were just in the same community?
No.
Dad was in Petty Harbour. Mom was up here. I don't know how they met. At a dance.
Probably in the beer parlor.
Dance.
Not that
Dad
was drunk.
used
No,
to
he
walk
was
back and forth from Petty Harbour to Quarter up here.
Nice.
Yeah.
But she was from money, or seemed to be. At least her aura, is that the right word? Her aura was of a
Yeah,
well-to-do
yeah,
woman.
yeah.
I mean, she went
Yeah.
even when she was very old, and she would sit and smoke. And she just looked so.
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is.
Dignified or
Dignified.
whatever.
That's exactly the word. So, but was she from money? I guess the.
Well, they had the hotel, you know. And
So
Dad
that-
was from Petty Harbour, and I mean, there
The
was a big
fishing
difference
family.
of fishing. Yes.
But that wasn't a problem.
No. He told me once of an experience he had. He said, "Maya, I loved your mother." He said, "I used to walk in and out of here all hours of the night to meet your mother up here." He said. And he said one night he was going down, way down around Crockers, you know that Crocker used to go. And he said, I saw in the distance this thing swaying this way and swaying that way and swaying that way. And he said it was so spooky. He said he was almost afraid. He said, I can't turn around and go back. I got to go back to Petty Harbour. And this thing was getting nearer and nearer, swaying, and he had all kinds of weird thoughts in his mind. And eventually, this person came up level with him. It was a woman with a big flared long skirt to her ankles, and a big flare. And if she was walking, the skirt was swaying like this and swaying like that. And he said, when it's pitch dark at midnight and you see this thing coming towards you down around Crockers, where you're so lonely.
And the graveyards up on the hill now.
In addition, and he said he was terrified that night. Otherwise, it went well.
But it was really a woman.
It was a woman. Oh yes.
No ghosts.
I don't think he had vocal cords left to say hi or something.
Did you have any boyfriends before you went off? I'm sure you did. I heard you were like the most gorgeous. Dad always said that. Dad always said you were so beautiful. I guess he had a little brother reverence for you or something.
Oh yeah, I had boyfriends, all right.
Lots of boyfriends. But you didn't run off to the Toronto to get rid of them.
No, I didn't
No.
have to do that. No, I didn't have to. I just went. The way I went off to Toronto. I mean, I was working borings. I had
Oh, were you?
I had a good job. Everything was just fine here. Nothing wrong. And boyfriend I had. But anyway, Norman Welch. I don't know Norman Welch. He came home on holiday. He's a good friend of mine. Always was. He himself and his brother Luke and Kay Connolly was girlfriend of mine. So they were all in Toronto, and Norman came home for a holiday for 2 weeks or something. And he said, you should come to Toronto, he said. It is so good up there. Jobs all over, lots of jobs available. And I said, but I got a job. I've got no problems. And I really had nothing. And he said, just come up. Kay's up there, Kay, this and that. And I said, well, okay. And honestly, talk about a snap decision. I said, I came home one day and said, I'm going back to Toronto with Norman. Well, I tell you, everybody was shocked. But that's just what I did. And I went to Toronto, and jobs were up there. You know, I could leave. I can remember I was working at Willard's Chocolates, didn't like that. Maple Leaf Flour, didn't like that. Pasternack's, didn't like that. I went from one to this, how many jobs were up there. There were heaps and heaps of jobs, you know. And so I just loved it up there. Yeah. And so,
How did you get there? You down on the train? And
no. I went by air with Norman.
By air?
Yeah.
Was
by
that the
air.
first time you flew?
Yes.
Were you scared?
No.
No?
Not at all.
So
Not at all.
when was
At
that,
all.
like in the 1950s?
I entered in 1957,
So it was probably 55.
55.
And you got in a
56.
plane.
Yeah.
You didn't mind?
There's one of these planes with the propellers in the front, swinging round and round, you know.
Imagine. I can't even imagine.
No.
No, I can imagine.
Do you remember the first time you got on a plane?
Yes, I think first time, I went to Montreal.
And you were fine.
Yeah, oh yeah, no.
I didn't
never-
realize people it seems like casual travel now.
Yeah,
like,
no, I didn't have no problem with it.
It was okay.
That was first time.
Oh, I was never scared, never. Even now, when I come from Africa, I never get it. Some people are scared and terrified. And I get on the plane, I'm the same as I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
I'm not a bit scared thinking about it, or after I get on, I'm very relaxed.
And that was no problem for you? You came in from Africa to Germany?
And not to Germany.
Yeah.
I came from Africa to London.
And you didn't get too tired?
It's 10 hours flight. No,
Not too bad.
not too bad.
And then 10 hour, and then another 5-hour flight.
Yeah.
It's long.
Yeah, it's a
flight.
long flight. It was a jolly long flight, and I came from Durban to Johannesburg, which was 1 hour, and then from Joburg to London 10, and then from London to here. It was quite long, but I weathered it okay.
Yeah,
Really
you look fine.
Yeah.
You don't look
Yeah.
tired.
It was fine.
You didn't have too much jet lag.
No, not at all.
Okay, these are the fun questions. So I'm going to wait for Aunt Jean to come back. She might want to hear some of them. So you want to pause?
I think I think the ones you've had were pretty funny.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable? Do you want me to go down and get the chair for you?
No,
It'll only
my
be
God,
another
no,
10
no,
minutes,
no,
but
no.
you don't, I know you're not. Your stomach's not 100%
No.
or anything. So.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
It's for Aunt Jean. Is the worst time you got in trouble that you can remember when you were either a teenager, or a kid, or even young adult?
I think it was for lying. You know, the same story. I'll never forget it. It was for lying to my father. There was a movie going on, and the movie theater here then was here right next to our house actually. So we used to get permission to go to the movie. So I went to the movie, I think, and then we met up with a couple of boys and a couple of girls. Anyway, we left the movie, and we went down to Petty Harbour, walked down to Petty Harbour to the cemetery, and we played hide and seek behind the headstones. Really dangerous stuff. But anyway, then we came back up. When I came home, I met my father, and he said, "Where were you?" And I said, "To the movie." "I was up to the movie and you weren't there?" And he said, "Where were you sitting?" And I said, "Up in the front." I went up to the front. I didn't see you there. Well, I moved to the back halfway through. Anyway, yeah, I realized I was cornered. And I mean, to know Dad, you just didn't lie to him like that. Anyway, I remember going upstairs and crying, and Peter was coming behind me. And I leaned out the window and I said, "Peter, when you go in, tell Dad the truth. Tell him the truth." So Peter came in, I think, and told him the truth. And I remember that was...
Oh, Dad was with you.
Yes, he was there. And I gotta say, there was a bunch of us playing hide and seek behind headstones. Anyway, the next day I remember I was so sick. I went to school, but I was really sick. And it was the first day of school, and the teacher said to me, "Are you always this pale?"
You were heartsick.
I was heartsick. Just to lie to Dad was
Bad stuff.
bad. And I mean, I never heard a word from Dad after. I mean, he never punished me. He never said, "You lied." He never said anything, but he didn't have to.
No.
Yeah.
Do you remember getting in trouble, Aunt Regina? Or were you a good girl?
I can't think offhand. Not that I was a good girl at all.
No.
But what could I say? That I got in trouble.
Maybe she never got.
Mine, I was a bad girl.
No, I was no model child. I wasn't, but I can't think offhand.
Sorry.
You know.
Did you get in trouble?
Every now and then.
Yeah.
Are you, anything you're willing to share? Or do you want to keep
I'll
it to
tell you
yourself?
this particular one.
Besides cutting off Junior's eyebrow.
This is something that made my heart beat.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But I was probably 16 at this time. Not that I didn't get into trouble before that, but I was 16 at this time. And I had a problem with my hearing. I always fell back on that as part of why I was always getting in trouble. I couldn't hear it. But anyway, I was, as I said, I stayed with Mom and Dad in the nursing home, right? But Mom, I must say, she thought it was pretty good, but not really truly dependable, right? Not totally dependable. But she still thought, you know, I was pretty good. So anyway, this lady was dying, right? And Agnes was brought up because Mom and them were going out somewhere, right? So anyway, when she died, I decided I'm going to make them proud.
Oh, no.
Make a what?
I'm going to make them proud. Right? So anyway, out I go and I tell Agnes, you know, that this Mrs. Perry died, right? And so Agnes, knowing Agnes, I did not know part of that, right?
She wasn't one
No.
for... No,
So
really?
anyway,
Interesting.
the doctor had come in the morning, so I did, and the priest had been there and anointed her. So anyway, those calls I made.
Everything was in place.
Yeah.
You were doing good.
I was doing really good. So anyway, I thought, well, I'll call the priest, and the priest, he told me, you know, everything's okay. She would have been proud of that. I did that. And then I called the doctor, which I had all this information there, and that that went well. He had been in this morning. He knew that she was going to pass away shortly and whatever. So now comes I had to get her, leave her a little bit. But anyway, she had asthma, and she always used to have those pillows propped up on the back of her. And I remember her hair, she had a lot of curl in her hair. She was a lovely looking woman. So anyway, I decided now, I'm going to make Mom proud. So anyway, what did I do? Only, you know, go ahead with the
Laying her out.
to lay her out,
Get
right?
her dressed off
Yeah.
in the morning.
So anyway, her knees were on the bent like this, right? And like, you know, she was kind of at an angle. So anyway, I did best I could, right? Thought it was pretty good. Wouldn't hurt her.
No.
Right. So anyway, this was hours, you know, after passing. So finally, the undertakers came in, and they looked at her,
Is she sitting up?
sitting up in the bed, looked at her, and I remember I was stood back, you know, quite a bit.
Proud as punch.
Oh, I was just going to ask her. Yeah, they expect no to ask me, my God, you know, do you want to be hired on or something? so anyway, and I thought she was beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, she was beautiful, you know, and I remember her dress, and I remember this great big paper flower or something. Her flower wasn't real, but anyway, this paper made out of material or something. Flower there. And her beautiful hair, and we used to, at that time, they happened to have their mouth open with, you know, you wrapped up, it had to be the Bible or prayer book, and that was wrapped up and put under her chin.
To hold her mouth
Yeah,
closed.
right. I did that. So anyway, when they would bring in a basket, and so the undertaker said, who laid her out here? I took 2 steps forward and said, you know, I did it, right? And, so anyway, still didn't see anything wrong with her. So he said, you know, do you see what you've done with her? And you know, I thought she was still beautiful, you know, and you know, I might say, you know, what's your problem, right? You know, because I still couldn't see anything wrong with her. So anyway, he said, you know, and all I could hear, like I said, wasn't that great on hearing. And he said, well, we can't do it here. And I had to fill in the blanks, but what can't we do here? So I didn't know what that was. So anyway, finally they decided to take her and put her in the basket. And then my heart was pounding. I could see then what was after happening. She's sitting up in the basket.
Oh, so
Yeah.
she
Couldn't get her to lie down.
Yeah, exactly. And so anyway, he does. He just touches her, and off she goes. Oh my God, I'm going to be killed. I'm going to be killed. And you know, and then, like I say, he touched her knees, and off she'd come again, right? Like,
So she
you
was
know,
rocking on her
she'd
bum.
come- Yeah, this way it was
Oh
going, right?
my.
So anyway, the big thing was now, you know, how are we going to get her out of here quick, you know, hurry up and move, right? And, you know, get out and get up the road before Mom comes home, because if she comes home, I'll be the next one in the basket. And so anyway, she, sure enough, they did get her out. But we had those ramps, and where they couldn't put the cover on the basket. They could only strap one strap down on the bottom, right? So I remember, now when I look back, you know, this was only a big joke to those guys.
Yeah,
you
they
know,
must have seen that
you know,
before.
I could see it now, but I mean, we were just taught respect, you know. And so anyway, they were going down. One guy was, you know, this way, and the other guy was going like this, and the
She
cover
was
was up,
sitting up.
and she was sitting up. And my heart was beating over time. And so finally, when they're going down over the ramp, Buddy gave him a little push like that, and I just see him now, and he put back his hand like that, 'cause he thought for sure she was coming right out over. But anyway, so they got her into the hearse, and at that time they would have those red curtains in the hearse, right? And they were just like, something like today. You just draw them right across, right? And so anyway, he just pulled the cord, and here she was. she on into her spider. So anyway, I was watching her. Oh my God, she gets out, because our driveway wasn't that long, but it seemed long at the time, right? And up over the hill, I know I was safe, right? So this was the big thing. So I always remember, and that was my secret for so long. And I remember telling Mom this, oh my God, it must be a couple of years later. And she said, my gosh, I would have killed you.
So you did right to hide it.
Yeah.
But you learned something.
Oh, yeah.
You learned how to do it.
Now, Marianne, you asked if I got in trouble. I didn't get in trouble, but I could have got in trouble. But I will tell you, I just remembered my first cake. The family went to Mass and left me home with the kids, Shirley, mine, and Junior, maybe Jean. And so I was very energetic that day. I said, I'm going to make a cake now. When they come home, I'll have a nice cake made. So I made this sponge pie, remember them, put it in one of these flat pans, We had them different sizes, okay. Put it in the oven. Completely forgot about it. And all of a sudden, I smelled this smoke. And I opened the door. Well, it was as black as that wheelbarrow. Everything was burnt. Now I said, just now they're going to be home from church. And I'll be in big trouble, hey? So I opened the door, opened the windows, and took that pan out, trying to clean this pan, and can't get the cake out of the thing because it was all stuck on now. So I went out in the garden, right up in the corner of the field, dug a big hole, put cake, pan, and everything down into that thing, and Mick came home. Mum said, what's it smell? And no, I knew nothing. Of course, everything by this time had blown over. And for the rest of the week, we had so many cake pans and things. For the rest of the week, Mum said, whatever happened to that dark pan? Where did it go? And she's pulling everything apart, looking for just that one. And I said, well, I don't bake, so don't ask me. And to this day, it's probably up there. It's probably a bit rusty.
Yeah, I think it's a bit rusty right now.
And I often thought, why didn't I tell her later on? Because I'm quite sure she wouldn't have said a thing, But then you keep forgetting to tell. I would have told her after a while, but after a few time passed, I just forgot to tell her.
Did you guys do a lot of the baking for the hotel or the old age home?
No.
Most moms.
Mostly Mom and Granny.
Mom, yeah.
Really, they were the
They were, yeah.
Yeah.
There was
Mom would say, wash up the dishes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you had to do mostly, was it?
Yeah.
And I would say, leave that there now. I had a reputation for that.
Leave it to soak.
I put that there in the corner and soak. Fill it up with water, can soak till the morning,
Soak till supper time when
week
someone
later.
else had to do it.
I remember the last time you were home, Gina, I remember being not the last time, I was really young. I was probably 10 or 11. And we were at Agnes's, and myself and Patty and Donna were under the table at Agnes's, and you guys all sat around. It's something I always think about your family. You always sit on your legs and leant on the table, and certainly Agnes did all the time. She knelt off the table. But they were telling a story about a cake and a wedding and something about that at the hotel, and I don't know who told it. Do you guys know that story?
Yeah, I think we had a wedding,
Yeah,
and
something.
it was a big. We were talking about that last night.
Were you really?
Yeah.
And the table is all set out with the linens and silver and wedding cake.
That's me.
And this was way back. We had pots upstairs, a pea pot,
Chamber pot.
chamber pot. Anyway, just before everybody arrived, drip, drip, right onto the cake. So they had to run with the cake, scrape the icing off, put a little bit on.
The eyes don't see, the heart don't feel.
No, they don't do that. So who took care of the icing of that cake?
Oh dear.
Probably
I don't know.
Margaret.
The cake wasn't thrown out.
No, I'm sure it
Cleaned up as best it could.
Second other question is the bravest thing you ever did? I no.
Brave.
Bravest
Any
thing.
brave things?
I'm not
You,
brave.
well, you
Fly to Africa.
flying to Africa is pretty brave.
That's brave.
Trying to put out a fire with a strainer, that's brave.
Yeah.
Nothing jumping to mind. Nobody saved anybody.
No.
Figured to check it out.
Yeah.
Um,
I tell you.
I know a brave thing I did, but I can't tell it.
Why?
I
You're
won't
being
listen.
modest.
Why do you think you might go down to Guinness Book of Records or something?
No, but it's a shocking thing.
yeah, but that's all right.
In Africa, 2 patients in the bed. You probably know this.
No, I don't.
And you know, before the patients go to sleep, we go around if they got dentures.
Yeah.
We ask them for, can I have your teeth or dentures in here so I can clean them and put them back in your mouth, or put them in a little bowl on your locker until the morning. Okay, so there were these 2 old men, right? So cleaned their teeth and put them in little bowls on their lockers. It was on kind of a dresser in front of both the beds. And anyway, so one man died. And not me, the other nurse, she put the wrong denture, she took one and put it in the dead man's mouth.
Oh.
So he went down to the mortuary. And so the following morning when she wanted to give the man who was still living his dentures, of course they were in the mouth of the person who was down in the mortuary. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
So I had to go down and help her to
Figure
open
out-
his mouth and get those teeth out. That was very brave.
That was very brave.
I would say that's brave, yeah.
So we got them out and brought them up and cleaned them up a bit and gave them to him.
He put it in the other guy's mouth and he said, "These don't fit. They don't feel
Well,
right."
they're not fitting, you know. And this is one. Then we said, oh, well, wait now, I've got some bells ringing here. There's some excuse we came up with to go down to that mortuary and take out. I mean, his jaws were stiff, but we had to work on that, you know.
Yeah,
That was very brave.
that is very brave. I mean,
That is brave. I'm not that
Very
brave.
What could I do? What could we do?
and a lot of the other questions I have were when I was talking about people getting in trouble, was there any big trouble Margaret, Agnes, or Dad? Well, Dad got in with the car. I know that was probably the biggest trouble they ever got in. So how about Margaret, Agnes?
Even I've ridden cars. So.
Yeah. I got in trouble personally with the. You often heard of the Cashins, right?
Oh yeah, the rich
okay.
cash, the richer
Yeah,
cash.
exactly, the rich Cashins. So anyway, I was just gosh, much more than 8 at the most, and we had this frogs pool, which we thought was ours, right? So we were. Oh yeah, you know, it was on our
It was
property.
on our property.
Yeah, so we wasn't breeding them or anything, but anyway, they were ours, right? And at that time, that was big. That was a wonderful thing to have your own frogs pool, right? You know, not everybody had that. So anyway, the Cashins, when they came in, they lived just across the pond in the summer house. So they, anyway, the word was out to all of us, don't say nothing to the Cashins. You know, button up, don't say nothing to the Cashins.
Your society.
So anyway, we did very good over the years. We didn't say very much to them, right? But anyway, I went down this day, and we were coming, cause we were up in the woods playing, and they would have hip rubbers on, and they would have a net, you know. And, you know, we'd wait for hours for these frogs to come in, and we had little short Logans on, right? And
Or nothing.
what?
Or nothing.
Or nothing, right? So anyway, don't say no to the Cashins. So anyway, when I went down here,
Sounds like
would you believe it? He had a bucket full of frogs, right? I couldn't take it, right? And anyway, in he goes. He went first. I grabbed the bucket and away with me down over the hill to my to the house, right? And then all of a sudden, you know, there's always a lot of people. So, you know, what am I going to do with those? Because, you know, they know Laurie Cashin's gone up there now to get those frogs. So, you know, here I'm coming with the bucket, right? And by this time I could hear him, and oh my God, the setting lungs he had on me. He was crying. I going, where am I going to go with these frogs? So way with me, up over the stairs, and into my grandmother's room, right?
With the whole bucket of frogs.
And out with the bucket of frogs. And so anyway, my grandmother used to have this pail with a cover on it, right? Perfect. Off comes the cover, in goes frog. Everything's quiet. So anyway, that was fun. So when I went our merry way, and until, like I said, bang, upstairs. Oh my God, that's Granny! No, but this is Mom and them downstairs. Oh my God, that's Granny! She's after fog, right? And when they went up, here was Granny, like I said. When the frogs saw the light, after the cover, just took off the cover, right? I mean, they were just coming everywhere. And she got such a fright.
Of course.
And she had
Her bloomers in.
she had this pink nightie on, kind of silky, like, right? And that was up, you know. And I don't know if the frogs are just seeing her up this far. What the bigger fright is, because you didn't see too much back then, right? And here she was, flat out on the floor, right? And Mom was coming, and Dad was coming, and I don't know who else was coming up over the stairs. And finally, I hear Mom, where is she?
She knew.
Yeah, and like I said, and I always remember she had me by the cover, and she said, "Do you realise, you know, you nearly killed Granny? You nearly killed Granny, right?" And here she was, Martha. She flat out on the floor, right?
That's big trouble. And that was big trouble, and that's so brave.
I wasn't very brave, but I was brave to take him, right?
You were brave to get into it with the cashews. I'm
mean,
impressed.
After being told.
I mean, those frogs were very precious, eh?
Oh yeah. I mean, he'd been
Just for
all
playing
there.
with. They were like your toys.
Yeah,
Or-
but
Well-
you're going to bring him and leave him in the pot. Take him off.
Well, I can remember once when Dad used to always go up and cover up the kids every night before he would go to bed. He'd go in the rooms and cover the children, make sure they had their blankets on. And I was behind him one night, and he went in. I don't know who was in the bed. I'm sure the younger ones were all in bed. And I was just walking behind him, and he's covering up, and then the kids. And then all of a sudden, we hear bump, 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 bump. And he looks around, and here, all the clothing had been taken out of the drawer of the top drawer, bureau, is that you call it? And so Dad, and they were all on the chair in a heap like this. And he pulled out there were 5 frogs in the drawer, bump, 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 all over the show, part of our frog pool, hey?
Yeah.
So he took them all out in the morning. Nobody knew what happened to them, you know.
Yeah.
Of
No.
course.
God,
There's
I
no
remember-
frogs left now,
No,
I don't
no.
think.
I always
There are.
remember-
They're still around, but not around here. I don't hear them or see them. But around when we go golfing,
Oh yeah.
oh, back
Yeah.
a couple of months ago, the place was alive.
Okay.
Alive.
Do you have any, what was a song that was important to your life, and could you sing a verse? Either a song that was sang to you when you were a kid, or a song that was like the first song you liked on the radio?
For me, a song I remember, go back to my parents, was Dad would always sing the song, "O'Brien Has No Place to Go."
Oh yeah.
And there was such a crowd of women, always women at the house working and everything. And he would go down in the barn, and he'd be sitting on this 3-legged stool, right? And I always remember how sad it was, because he was the O'Brien in my book, right?
Yeah.
That had no place to go because
Funny
there was
women.
just nobody.
I know.
You realise that. But I always used to think that was really sad.
Can
Yeah.
you sing a little bit of it, or do you know it at all?
No, Jean was good.
Yeah, right.
I don't know that.
I can't sing
You
much.
can't, no, I don't. It was not for
But
singing.
you know the words.
No, you can just recite the words.
Well,
I
it's
never
just
heard
about this man. It's an Irish thing.
Yeah.
Who had 3 daughters, and one was in the kitchen courting, and one was in the living room courting, and one was somewhere else, and O'Brien had no place to go.
Oh, because all his
Yeah.
daughters
Yeah.
were poor.
Yeah.
Very
But that's the way it
That
was,
was his song.
at the house.
How about you, Regina? I'll let you go now.
No, man.
You go on. Oh, yes, you're going to Mass. Okay, you can go to Mass. But you got any more songs before we shut her down?
I used to love Some Enchanted Evening, but it's no when I was a kid. I mean,
No, is it?
this was a really much older. I was no child, but that I remember very well.
Did you go dancing to that song?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful song.
Beautiful. Yeah, I
Oh,
liked
yeah.
that. I loved that.
And I think my favorite one was Bridge Over Troubled Water, but I don't know why. It's just,
I remember you singing that as
Yeah.
when I was a kid, like with were you at Jim Marie's christening? Why do I remember that?
I may have been.
Yes, you were her godmother. No, you're my godmother.
I'm one of your
Aunt,
godmothers,
you're me. It's
but I
you're my
don't know
god-
which one.
Me. It's
Yeah.
Bridgie. It's not Bridgie. Aunt Marge. It's Jim Marie's.
Yeah.
But yes, I remember that. Anyway, I'll let you go to mass because I know you wanted to get going.
Yeah.
But thank
We'll
you.
go
It was
out to the
really
Basilica.
Well,
fun.
thank you.
And I'll try and
Thank
get
you.
DVD
Fun.
copies for all.
Yeah,
of you.
Okay.
nice.
For
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
For
No,
fun.
we-
It's
I'm
gonna
glad
take
you didn't
Virginia out
give
to
away
the
any big secrets.
Basilica?
Facility.
No,
can
no
we?
big secrets. But if you ever want to
Thank
write
you.
me a letter, I promise I'll tell you. To have them for
Yeah.
posterity. Is that the right
Yeah.
word? Just
Look at that
to
bee.
Oh, you got to be.